Hi everybody. So I think I finally figured out a solution to my, computer noise problem, which is I have a digital camera. And my digital camera can record movies, of course, so use that head of mine every now and then, right? So, the main topic for today is parties. At this point, I've been to a lot of them. I mentioned before that one supposedly normal barbecue that turned into just like madness, and the elementary school teacher kind of ended up dancing in a coconut bra. Well, I thought this week I was going to go to a party of one of the other Jets here, his birthday party. Then I guess this text was probably sent to me around 10 in the morning. I didn't get it until like noon because it was my day off. Apparently I was having a welcome party, and nobody thought it would be good to tell me significantly in advance. That happens a lot here. I guess because there's nothing to do here, so people just assume, well, obviously Barbara doesn't have any plans because there's nothing to do, so it's not that big of a deal. They don't have to worry about telling me, 2 weeks in advance, or, God forbid, at least a few days. But it just so happens I, have a vehicle and people in the general vicinity who I would like to spend some time with. So sometimes it gets a little frustrating. So anyway, I had another welcome party. I say another because last week I had my first welcome party a month and a half after being here, after getting here, mind you. And that was fun. We went to a local yakiniku, which is just grilled meat. Local yakiniku restaurant. It was actually the town north of me. And while we were driving up there, I was thinking, God, I should have asked the ALT here, the English teacher here, if he wanted to come and eat with us. It's my welcome party. I can invite people if I want to. And then I walked in, and there he is, sitting with two of the other ALTs from around here. Apparently they sent me a text, but I'd never got it. They just happened to be eating there that night at the same time. It was completely random coincidence, and it was great. We didn't talk to them for most of the night, but afterwards we did. As for yakiniku, I was sitting there and I was thinking, God, this is really delicious. This is really awesome. You just sit down and you just eat meat. And you grill it yourself. You just drink beer and eat meat. And I thought, why don't we have this kind of restaurant in America? And then I said, oh, that's right, because we just grill our meat at home. And eat it at home, so that then we don't have to pay waiters and waitresses and things like that. So that was that moment. But this welcome party was different. This welcome party, I guess we just sort of rented out or asked permission to use the restaurant space, which is above our bus stop in the town. We don't really have a convenience store, we have this bus stop. I don't know what they sell there, I've never been inside. But apparently upstairs is a restaurant. And it wasn't functioning, it was just all of us from the middle school were there. And we had some food that had been catered from beforehand. So we had sushi and a bunch of fried deliciousness. And beer. The draft beer from the restaurant. Other beer. Other alcohol. And by this point, pretty much everybody knows, because I've been drinking with pretty much everybody, that I'm not a big fan of beer. I'll drink it, but I'm not a big fan. I prefer cocktails. And in Japan, they have cocktails in a can. And it even says right on there the alcohol percentage, of course, because it's in a can. So you know exactly what you're getting into. But everybody was drinking draft beer, and I didn't see any cocktails, so my first drink was a beer. And I hadn't eaten dinner yet. So, we did our little kanpai, our little cheers, and then everybody drank. And since I had the beer, I just drank it quick. And since I hadn't eaten, it kind of went to my head just a little bit. Just enough for me to misunderstand the cocktail can that I was handed, say, oh wow, this is really weak, and then agree when somebody decided that they should put shochu, which is 20% alcohol, and mix that half and half with a cocktail. So I wasn't like sick drunk, I wasn't sloppy drunk, but I was pretty drunk. And drunk Japanese people are hilarious. Like, I'm pretty normal when I'm drunk, but drunk Japanese people are hilarious. The English teacher, I guess, doesn't normally drink because 2 beers in and he was gone. And he didn't drink them that fast, but 2 beers in and he was like putting the little like plastic grass that separates the sushi, he's like sticking it to his face, like, oh, I have a grass mustache, I have a grass beard. He took 2, he's like, I have grass eyebrows, and then he just stuck one to his forehead randomly. And then he started putting chopsticks in his mouth like a walrus. He was all over the place, but it was very, very funny. And then all the other teachers, because he's kind of socially awkward, so all the other teachers are just like, oh, henno oji-san. So it's like, what a strange old guy. And they just kept, because they realized I understood them, and they're like, yeah, strange old guy. He's such a strange old guy. And I'm like, yeah, I guess so. And it was funny because originally, one of the middle school PE teacher, he had driven everybody, like a bunch of people there in his car, because he has a big car. But then apparently the beer was just too delicious looking, so I left before him, so I don't know who ended up driving his car, but he didn't, because he just gave in and started drinking. And it's not even like, okay, well, we have like 2 police officers, so it's not a big deal. People in my town will sometimes have a drink and then, knowing that they're not drunk, drive anyway. But in Japan, if you're caught with any alcohol in your system, it doesn't matter if you're not even remotely drunk. If you have any alcohol in you and they happen to stop you and test you, then you are just royally screwed. Because it doesn't matter if you're drunk. If you have 0.0001 and they find it, I don't even know if they can test for that much, but if they find anything, you might as well be smashed, because that is how much you're going to get punished. So that party was fun, though. And then afterwards, I have no idea what time I came in. I just went straight to bed. And then around 3 o'clock, I woke up just thirsty, and then went back to bed again after that. See, even though I was drunk, I didn't get crazy. But then the next day, everybody's like, oh, I'm hungover, or, oh, are you okay? Are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. But they were all hungover, apparently. So that was hilarious, because it was a school day and everybody was hungover. And then last night, we had another sort of smaller welcome party for the cool people from the middle school and the Board of Education. So it was me, and there's another new guy at the middle school. He's just temporarily here. And we had a takoyaki party, which I like takoyaki. But then they started doing like Russian roulette takoyaki because we were making it. And so the middle school PE teacher, he is a troll. Like, not physically. I'm talking about like always pranking people. He was the one who grabbed the wasabi paste and just dumped a ton of it in 3 of the takoyaki balls. And then cooked them and smothered them in sauce and made everybody pass the plate around. Of course, everybody else agreed to it. I'm the only one who's like, seriously, are we doing this? This is terrible. I don't want to do this. But I did it, and I didn't get any of the hot ones. You know what? He did. He got one of the hot ones, so joke's on him. And it was really, really funny. And last night I mean, I had a drink, but I don't like, it's too much for me to get drunk twice in 1 week. That is, to me, verging on alcoholic. I don't care if it's parties. It's I guess that's where I draw the line. I'll get drunk on a school night, but I don't get hungover the next day, and I don't overindulge twice in 1 week. Although my coworkers here seem to have no problem with it. There's a cultural difference. For me, that's too much. For them, that's completely normal. So it is kind of weird to start to, now that they're more comfortable with me, I can sort of see the group dynamics. For example, after that first welcome party, one of the teachers had driven me up there, and some of the other teachers feel like he's sort of a bossy know-it-all. He does know a lot, but he does have a more aggressive personality. And I found out when I was talking to him that he's a huge nerd. He loves video games, and I love video games, so we had a bonding experience. And I feel like I kind of understand him. I feel like we're on the same wavelength in a lot of ways. He's a nerd, he's an only child. His parents are really involved in one of the secular religions here. So it's kind of like he grew up with Southern Baptists. I grew up around a lot of Southern Baptists. I can understand what that environment can be like. And then he's just sort of like this isolated nerd, and all the other teachers are too cool for him. And like he was invited to the cool people party, but he left first, and then everybody made fun of him when he wasn't there. So that made me a little uncomfortable. I'm not gonna sit there and be like, guys, you're mean. I just ignored them and just didn't take part in it. What you gonna do? Adults, they're still bullies. For the most part, they're really nice people, though, is the weird thing. Like, they're really nice people. But they're just human, I guess. That's the thing about parties here. You get to see a different side of people. And people here are delighted, I don't know, when I get involved. For example, the guy who got kind of crazy at that other party, he wasn't there last night. And he wasn't there at the middle school party, obviously, because he's an elementary school teacher. And so when they're saying, oh, the English teacher is a weird old guy, says, you know who's weird? Okamoto sensei is weird. And he knows this. Like, he's like, I'm a weird guy. So I don't feel bad, like I'm making fun of him. But they were thrilled. They're like, Barbara said that he's weird. And I'm like, of course I said that he's weird. He's kind of weird. But then I also said, but he's really funny, and he's a nice guy, so it's okay. It's okay that he's weird. There's nothing wrong with that. Unless you're in Japan. And, so that was that. Last night, in some ways I'm like a dancing monkey, or a dancing bear, Getting me to do things which are normal to them, or just particularly abnormal for me, delights them. For example, they were trying to teach me Osaka Ben last night. It's like the local Osaka slang. And the PE teacher was in charge of teaching me, basically, and he just kept teaching me all this, like, gangster, like, low-class stuff. I only remember one thing from last night. Just basically, like, what the F are you doing? From what I could gather from their inebriated babbling. And it's Itemo taro ka? And it's like, what the F do you think you're doing? So, not to be used in normal circumstances. They kept trying, they're bullying, they kept trying to teach me this one phrase. It's like, oh wow, he's really pathetic. And then they kept saying, oh, you should say that to the teacher who left early. And I was like, yeah, no, not gonna happen. A, because I would never say that to anybody, and B, because why would I say that to him? I think he's okay. But, I might say it to that weird elementary school teacher just because I know he'd get a kick out of it. I know he'd think it was funny. So it's just a difference in temperament. And I guess that's parties. In other news, being in Japan is turning me into a great cook. Just, not being able to buy the things that I want, not being able to simply go to a Mexican restaurant. Tonight, I made the world's best Spanish Mexican rice with, tomato paste. The secret, everyone, is lemon juice or lime juice. A little bit of citric in it makes it delicious. That is the key. And I made that to go with stuffed green peppers. Awesome. It's just, one of the things I've been up to lately. Oh, and I seasoned the meat and the stuffed peppers with homemade salsa. I can make salsa now. Still struggle with tortillas. Oh man, still struggle with tortillas. You guys know about that. Well, I think that's where I'm going to wrap up for today. Who knows, maybe next time I'll talk about sports day, or maybe typhoons, and it'll be canceled. Either way, I'll talk to you guys again next week. Bye-bye.